And I killed it in the summers because not only are you staying in shape, right? So I was stronger than all of my buddies, but I was also making more money than all of them put together, right? Welcome back to another episode of Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. But we're not in Vancouver today. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, at the ATA Movers and Storage Conference 2025. It has been an exciting day full of new tips, meeting new people, great networking, and I'm lucky enough to have Brian Yarham here with Eyring Movers. Where are you based out of, Brian?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. And now, you're not like a brand new moving company.
No, we've been doing this for a little bit now.
So I think so, right? Like we were saying, a little bit over 100 years. What are we at now?
128 years. 1897 we started. Great-great-grandpa at the turn of the century. Yeah, so I'm the 5th generation to own the business.
That's amazing. And for all those that are watching this video, I'm going to get Brian to shoot me the image of that first photo that was taken on top of the truck. You got the movers, and we were joking about it before because there used to be like this sense of class, right? Like now you get movers that are showing up to their shifts. They're in jogging pants, let alone probably ripped jogging pants, shorts. They just look.
A lot of us are trying to figure out where to draw the line, right? We want to be professional, but we're also like, but we get it. It's hot and it's sweaty. And then you look at these old pictures, not just from my family, but look at all those old school van line pictures.
Yeah.
You know, that classic one.
Shirt, button-up shirt, a tie.
Look at them. Somehow I've never seen where they're all
piano. They're moving that piano. No.
Have you seen one where they're all dirty and sweaty though?
I know.
Like, right? I don't. I know. Obviously, they're maybe a little bit more choosy with pictures back then.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Burning. How is less dusty? I know I do.
No, I don't know. But especially, I mean, we have enough trouble like telling guys keep track of the trucks and keep things nice. Horse and wagon, like, hey, right. don't park in the driveway because we don't want the crap. You know,
I know, right?
Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess there probably wasn't a lot of driveways. It was probably just like dirt pathways.
I wish I could say that my family was better at like keeping stories and keeping records and keeping all that stuff, but it's shockingly little that I have of like, what the heck was it like 100 years ago? I would love to.
Now now I love this. Because I kind of want you to hopefully expand on it. Was there any stories that you heard from, sitting there at the family table, your parents, your grandparents were sharing some story from the beginning?
Yeah. So, I mean, I know my great-great-grandfather was an immigrant. He came over with brothers. They all in the trades. They came over from Germany.
Okay.
So I at least know that part. I know that there's a house that was in my family until last year, I think, that one of the brothers built. It's this nice big mason, like just stone, like it's weird a little bit, but like it's really cool, and it's still sitting there in Cleveland. Yeah. And so there's some names around. So it's neat because I know that those brothers then came and had their own families and everything. So there's people with that last name Eyring. So Eyring would be my mom's maiden name. I got the business from her brother, from my mom's brother. And so, that Eyring name is etched in stone, literally in different places from where the different trades happen. And my great-great-grandfather's, that line is the one that stuck with the business.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
And was there any, did they ever like share something where, they were on a move and something happened, or there was like, especially when you think of like back in like the 40s and 50s, moving was a lot different there at that time.
It was. So what I do know is that we were pacing with, as Cleveland was growing, we had this, like, they call it Millionaires Row at the time, right? And all the big names of the time, the Rockefeller and all those different, they had property there, whether or not Cleveland was their home. But so I know that that's where we did business, but man, wouldn't it be cool to find like an old bill of lading or find something with one of those legends names on them? So I don't know that for sure. But I did have a woman come up to me a few years back at like a trade show, and she goes, "Wait, Eyring Movers?" I said, "Yeah." And she was probably, I don't know, she's in her 50s, 60s or something like that. And she goes, "My grandfather had a business where they physically moved houses."
Okay.
I said, "Cool." She goes, "We lived on the same block as the Eyrings who moved the stuff. So you guys would actually pack and load stuff to get it out of the houses.
For
my family would physically move it to a new foundation on a different block, different wherever it was, and then you guys would put it back." I was like, how do you know that? Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Her family, that business isn't around anymore because I don't know when the last time you heard about somebody moving a physical structure of a house.
Right.
But it's just neat little stories like that come up in. And my family it's been a small business for a long time. So very much like technician, raising a son to be a technician. So it wasn't like with big growth objectives and all that stuff, but different generations had little marks on the business in different ways that I put together from the history. So it was really neat to see how years ago we had these chunks of these large corporate contracts for moving stuff. So it was neat to see how, like, I see these big names and we had these big bills and huge chunks of our revenue that came from big corporations that back in the day didn't necessarily have a big van line or have a big organizational structure to facilitate committing with big contracts and things, right?
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we had 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Now we had a chunk of long distance moves, even as recent as 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s through
And not even being part of a van line either.
No, we had just a chunk, and then other companies had other chunks, and so we kind of had lanes or regions, and it's just kind of neat to see all that kind of stuff. So we're talking like big companies like Sherwin-Williams, Ernst & Young, and Energizer Battery, and Eaton, and all the stuff.
Now you look at the diversification over the century of having the moving company. Where is Eyring today in a sense of diversification?
So we went from being almost exclusively like corporate to we are less than 10% as corporate moves. Within the moves that we do, we used to do very little local. It was do all the long distance, and if a truck was free and somebody calls in, book it for some local work. But now we are pretty close to 50-50 on a revenue share of long distance versus local. We do a lot of warehouse storage. Last year we added mobile storage units, so we've got those in the mix as well. And so we're still mostly residential.
Why the change?
Well, it was the opportunity for growth, right? Like one of the things that we're seeing in this conference, right, even is they're talking about details of statistics. And I think it was somebody said it was over 80% of all the moves that are going to happen this year are local. Right. So, okay. So we were making a business decision to say, well, if this is where most of the moves are, we're going to have these trucks and men and do it. So the decision was made years ago as we began to grow. And so that was our fastest growing section was local moves. Local moves lead to repeat customers that are long distance. Even though I keep spending money on marketing, our percentage of repeat and referral business stays about the same. I mean, we're between like 70 and 80% on any given month is repeat and referrals. So when I'm dabbling in Facebook marketing, when I'm dabbling in what happens if we throw money at Google and all that stuff, I have this cushion of this repeat and referral business just keeps coming in. And then we're trying to say, all right, how do I get that percentage smaller is more of our goal. Right. And it's just the blessing of being in town, doing things right, and having a good reputation for over a century.
Sure.
That helps.
Is there other moving companies in Cleveland that are just as old as yourself, or would you consider yourselves one of the oldest moving companies in the area?
I'm waiting for somebody to challenge me, but I think we have the oldest standing moving company in Cleveland. There's other real good companies, but nobody that can put up a prior to 1900.
Sure.
But the oldest, I don't know if you saw recently, they just hit another milestone, but E.E. Ward is the longest standing minority-owned moving company in the country, and they happen to be based out of Columbus.
Right.
So, and they've got like 10 years on us. So it was just it's impressive to just hit another long-standing moving company here in Ohio.
You only have just the one location?
One location.
One
Yep.
location. How many trucks you're operating out of?
We have 4 tractor trailers, couple extra trailers, and then 7 straight trucks. 2 more coming this month.
Okay.
And then our first 12 mobile storage units were brought on last year, and then we have 2 warehouses.
Wow.
In the same area, but
Sure.
we're expanding. We were able to buy a competitor last year. That was in business for 60 years, which is a good long time for a moving company. And they'd been a good competitor for a long time, but we had the opportunity to acquire them last April.
Okay.
And so we ended up shutting down that warehouse and moving all the storage. But it's,
And did you at the same time, because, we talk a lot on this podcast about acquisitions, franchising out, opening up corporate locations. Did you find at the time, like, were you already like in management within the company when you're like, okay, we're going to acquire this? Was this
so
a family dynamic of going, this makes sense for us to acquire this company?
Yeah, so I own it fully now. I bought the business from my uncle, and I own it outright 100%. So all those decisions are between me and the leadership team and what we're going to do next. And I'm big on collaborating. So I want to know who the competitors are and who the people are, right? And just in case we can work together, in case we have to. I've shared loads and done different things to just know the people in my area. And then what that does is that facilitates opportunities then, so that when somebody else is getting to a stage, like when I recognize like the stage my uncle was in, when he approached me to say, hey, what do you think about coming in and,
Slowly take it over?
Yeah. Well, I think we might have skipped that step. I was a mover in college.
Okay.
And then
we can't really talk about
I guess we skipped
How
that.
did we get into the industry? You're like, I just showed up at the CTA event and became president. Yeah.
So if that part of the story matters, but
No, share it with everybody.
So
Everyone wants to know where you came from.
Well, when I was in college, I was a mover on the trucks, as you can imagine. Anybody with a family business that, right?
You're bound to be on that.
So I was out on the trucks, and I killed it in the summers because not only are you staying in shape, right? So I was stronger than all of my buddies, but I was also making more money than all of them put together, right? Because I was on the trucks and running the road, seeing the country, and doing all that. But I couldn't wait to graduate and be done, and never look back. And I told my uncle just that much, right? Because I was working for him at the time.
Sure.
So then I went off and had a career in the corporate world, so about 15 years, and I managed the sales territory, and I was actually in manufacturing, selling metal to manufacturers. Not quite related at all to anything in the moving world. Then as my uncle was hitting that age, looking at, being 60 and trying to figure out, all right, his son wants nothing to do with the business.
Right.
It's been in our family all these years. What the heck am I supposed to do now? I don't want to sell it to somebody else.
Sure.
And so he approached me, and after telling him no a few times, I said, all right, well, we can at least talk about it.
What do you think was some of the hesitations? Like, because obviously it takes a certain individual to want to now take ownership, right? You talk to a lot of guys, you're like, no, I'm good being the warehouse manager. Family dynamics. I remember having a conversation with one moving company owner where it's him and his brother. And I said, well, are you both heavily involved on the decisions? He's like, nope. My brother loves to manage the warehouse and like manage those crews out there.
Yeah.
I will manage how the business runs. So, it's not for everybody.
Right.
So what was some of your hesitations that held you back?
So what I saw in our company was a ton of low-hanging fruit, because my uncle very much was a skilled technician. Like he'd be the guy that could come, he could put on your uniform and come and just knock out a move. Still to this day, in his 60s.
Yeah.
Right. He can still show up, and he's crazy strong still. He's your classic, like Class A CDL lead driver, mover guy, but was almost like put on the spot to be like, you don't really have a choice. This is your career path. You will one day just own this.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a ton of decision making, and I don't know that he would have picked it. Because by the time, you know, he was my boss when I was in college, it was a terrible grind. And it was just the frustration of like a lot of older guys. The ones that are here are more growth minded and are seeing things for what it is. He was frustrated with, why aren't things like they used to be? Guys aren't the same, right? A lot of us who, like, I look at my records, right? The same size jobs. I mean, a lot of us can relate that we now send 3, a lot of times 4 guys to go do a job that wasn't that long ago. We're sending two guys.
You know, I see it all the time. I see the dynamics when I had my independent moving company.
Yeah.
Where they would do like 2 guys, a 3-ton truck, 3 1-bedrooms, a 9, a 12, you know, and then like a 4 or 5 o'clock one and kill it for month end. Now my guys will look at me having salmons and go, okay, so I'll be like 3 guys at least, right? And we'll do 1. Yeah. And it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
No. Like by 4 o'clock,
like,
we want this, we want that, and you're like, guys, like just this is the time to make money.
Mine's a
totally different.
Yeah, I would get sent out on the road. He would send me out on the road, tractor trailer, 53-footer. We would go out and 2 guys, full pack, full load, a corporate 53, 25,000 pounds, whatever, taking stuff apart, fill up those belly boxes, everything. And it took as long as it was going to take. There was no cash labor. There was no getting help. There was nothing. It was you pack and you load until you're done packing and loading. And by the way, you got to be there to deliver that on Wednesday. So figure out your time frame, right? Yeah. So you're just working as late as you have to, doing whatever. And then on the delivery end, same thing, getting that whole tractor. I mean, that was just how it went. So his frustration was in, why can't I find those 2 guys to go do that anymore? And I was going, I think it is what it is. Let's come up with some different things. So, but given that mentality, it was frustrating. It was daunting thinking I can come in because I got to work with him because he wasn't quite ready to retire, but I was at a career change. And so I took a pay cut. I said, I'll agree to do it. But it was a little bit like, what am I doing? But it was for the sake of what I thought could be. So the business wasn't in a place to pay me very much, just didn't have the revenue. So that produced the hustle because I had to make it.
Sure. You got to put food on the table.
Yeah. I remember getting advice from my brother, actually.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google. No one's gonna call. No one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
He goes, you're going to do it because you have to.
Right.
Like you have to. You don't have a choice. You got 3 kids at home and a wife coming with you, so make it happen. So ultimately, that's what our decision was. We agreed to work together for 5 years, at the end of which I would buy him out completely. He'd retire and get to set sail, and then I can take it from there. So in June of 21, I took over and then got him bought out and did it all. But the 5 years prior, I was working with him. So that's when I started the networking, when I started building, and a lot of my ideas got shut down, and I had to just
You're like TikTok,
notes. Notes. June 1st, this is all gonna go, and that's how we did it. So it's been super fun because we've now almost quadrupled what we were.
Wow, amazing. How's the relationship with your uncle still on that now?
Great.
Does he look at you going like, wow, I'm so happy that we sold it over to you, Brian. You've taken it to a whole different level.
Him working for me is way better because he comes in part-time because he's he's an older guy.
Yeah.
So he's got to still dabble. He's still got to do, and then he'll still take a run here and there. He's got a place in Florida. We do a lot of runs to Florida. So he'll sometimes be like, hey, I'm bored. What do you got?
Yeah.
You got anything for me to take? Or my sales guys know enough. He'll kind of be in and moseying around. And once we kind of hit capacity,
4,000 pounds for you, buddy. Yeah. Let's go.
We'll hit capacity, and my guys will go, what about Ed? Can we call Ed? Can we try it? Because he didn't tell me when he sold me the company, there's one truck that's still his. or I have the title for it, but it's still his and no one's allowed to drive it. So
That's funny.
it's an old 20-plus-year-old semi.
Sure.
But anyway, so yeah, it's been really good. And now he comes in and he sees all these guys, all these trucks, and I think he's dying to know. Like, I just don't give him access to the books and everything, right? But I do have him paid off now, so it's all done. It's all good to go. But it's interesting because he's looking around. He's still a prideful guy, and so he's still looking like you're doing something different.
Did you take those learnings of how you acquired it from your uncle to taking over the other moving company and through that acquisition? Like, how did that process go?
Yeah. So right now, not only do I want to be like friends with everybody who owns moving companies, just because I love this community, you've really helped facilitate a lot of that too, of bridging the gap of just different people. I love it. So not only do I want to know them, but I also know, because I learned literally personally from my uncle, I have some idea what his fears are, his concerns. And a lot of us as business people too, we start to wrap our identities around that, like who we are as a business owner. And I remember him, I couldn't believe in a moment of vulnerability, he was like, what am I going to be if I'm not an owner anymore? And I was just like, man, that's going to be like a whole separate counseling session, man. I'm not sure how I can get you there, but that's a very real concern, right? Whole different thing.
My wife always goes, man, if you sold tomorrow, like, you probably couldn't get a corporate job. You probably wouldn't even know what that even looks like, or the way the hours work. Or,
I know I could.
And being under control of somebody else. Yeah. It's like, it just probably would never work.
Yeah, I know I couldn't. So, but he's at a different stage, right? He's in his So that being said, I learned a ton from that. So then, ironically, he got the call from this competitor, right? That he's known for his whole career. Sure. He's known because these guys were in business, and it was I think they were, I think, kind of trying to work out a situation where they gave it to the next generation. It just wasn't working out.
Right.
But he's actually the one that got the call.
Yeah.
From the owner at the time. It was like, hey, what did you work out? Is it your nephew that's running things now, or how's that, whatever? And then so he's the one that gave me the call then to build, to build something, make a deal with him. But now, having gone a second time, I learned everything I could from my uncle, and then now with this second one, I'm literally, like, I don't want to say I'm just in the market, but I'm trying to build relationships with other people in that same spot, because I think I bring some value of understanding and then helping facilitate how I can help them get their goal of retiring, yet preserve that bit of legacy of,
and acquire it at the same time.
Yeah, acquire it, bringing it, and then carry on their legacy to a degree, but also just add into ours and our systems and processes to then continue our expansion. So
what would you tell somebody that's listening, like, if they were looking at acquiring a moving company, what would you say, like, maybe like the top 3 things that you notice or that you should be looking out for when trying to acquire that other moving company?
I've learned so much with each one. It's hard to say.
Well, keep it 3.
Totally everything. Yeah, 3 things. It's especially with storage. So with my uncles, I already knew because I've been working in it, so there wasn't really any surprises. With the last one, I couldn't believe how important warehouse management is, right? Because I took it for granted in my own, and then once I bought someone else's, not so well. I don't want to disparage them, on a podcast, but. Sure. It was unbelievable, the surprises of how many crates we had, no records on, how many crates, no inventories, how many crates, not sure where they are. Like, the lack of systems and operate was just different than kind of how it was presented. Right. So exactly how I'll navigate that on the next one, because I've got.
So would you say for someone that is looking to acquire a moving company that has a warehouse as well, what should they be looking for when they're looking at the books? Or, like, is there a sense of go through the warehouse, ask them what their systems and processes are for warehouse management?
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs, there's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up training yet, get a demo done, get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up training today.
We What's up, guys? Austin Yarbrough here, and this is your invitation to the Movers and Shakers event, April 28th, April 29th. I'm putting in the work right now so you can have the best event of your life. It's gonna be life-changing, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm just gonna be there to help, and you're gonna join the new family. This next family is here for you, and you're gonna be here for them. April 28th, April 29th, get your tickets, let's go.
I think so. I think I would scrutinize more. I'd probably have my ops guy go in and go meet with the warehouse manager, pick random shipments, how them looks, do some. He bared a huge chunk of the load of like, this is not what you said it was going to be. I'm like, no, it can't be that bad, right? And it was bad.
Yeah.
So I'd get him involved. I'd have somebody else who's like really like, I need to know where and how and what stuff is. I'd look at that. I mean, it's you've got to go with your gut. You got to do all the due diligence of what does the last 5 years look like? Because just because everything was cool 10 years ago doesn't mean that's what it is today. We all knew that. So there's the usual due diligence that a Google search or ChatGPT is going to tell you what to do. But then getting in there and really seeing, right? If you came to my place, you would judge me by the back of my trucks at the end of the day, right? You'd make some judgment. You might not say anything.
Don't worry, I make judgment no matter what, Ryan. If I came out there and see, I'll find something.
But that being said, I mean, go in there and see.
Oh, this place is dusty. Come on. No,
I didn't like the smell of the guys that were leaving in the morning when I went there for a morning meeting, but I was there on purpose at that time. This is why we kept none of them, right? And it's part of the reason I'd already been taking some amount of business from them, so I had some idea what the feedback was. So you got to get in there and see. It's not just a paper deal.
Don't just take over and then sit in the office and think it's just going to keep running.
Yeah, it's not that at all. Yeah, we ended up closing the warehouse, moving all of the storage customers to our other warehouse, and deciding if we're going to go back into that town. It was only 20 minutes away. If we're going to go back there, we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it differently with a different purpose, different warehouse setup, different everything, because it was just we ultimately made that decision as a leadership team to just close it.
Well, it's great.
So
appreciate it.
But yeah, it was
awesome. Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was kind of like a short and sweet, we're hit and run visit, but I'm so happy that we finally got a chance to sit down, learn a little bit of Eyring Movers located in Cleveland, Ohio. If anybody's out in Cleveland that's looking to relocate, check these guys out. Their longevity of being around for 127 years is no short journey. Like, I mean, it's pretty remarkable when I look at those kind of companies that are around and still hold that establishment and that legacy in the community, which is key. So thank you so much.
Well, and my oldest daughter right now, if anybody was to call, heading their inside sales team is my daughter, Emily. So 6th generation, which is kind of cool. It's more of a temporary spot for her, but it's having 6th generation is also like, I was scratching my head going, wait, is that possible? But
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of
wild. That's great. I'm super excited to see that with my kids eventually as they grow up and keep that generational going. So thank you so much. For all those that are listening, watching, please check us out, like us, subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We want your likes, we want your visits. We just want to know what you want to hear. So share some comments about what you want to see featured or any kind of discussions coming up. Brian, been a pleasure. Really appreciate it. And for everybody else that's watching and listening, stay Movified.